We don't need to sync this. It's going to be synced with my soul. Listen, when I was on the farm, I ate a lot of beans, okay?
What?
Copious amounts of beans.
Why?
And why not? Pinto beans, black beans, green beans.
I just feel like if you had a choice of things to eat, it wouldn't be beans.
You eat what's on the farm, including cows. And I know you said don't make it sad when I talk about whatever I talk about in the intro, but cows were a part of the thing. But there's this thing going viral on TikTok where people are like, you know what we should do? Instead of going to the store to buy meat, we should buy a cow. And one guy shot a video that I saw stitching it going, there couldn't possibly be that much more meat inside of a cow than you get from the grocery store. And you have no idea how much meat you get from a cow. There's a reason why we started butchering them. It's a ton of freaking meat.
Right.
But the other side of that is that it's very sad to kill a cow because most cows have personalities. Like, they're pretty smart.
Why would you tell me this?
And every once in a while in a herd, you get like a pet cow. And our pet cow's name was Feedy.
Hold on.
Sure.
Before I get invested,
Right.
before I get attached to Feedy,
Okay.
does the story end with you making burgers out of Feedy?
No, not burger. We did not make burgers.
Does the story end with you eating beef ribs from Feedy?
No, it does not.
Does the story end with eating steaks from Feedy?
No, it doesn't. I feel like you're trying to plug all the holes here.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Okay.
It does not. Ever since she was a calf, she was just like a charismatic cow. She would come whenever she was called. She liked to play around with like the horses and stuff. And you bang a bucket and you go, Feedy, and she would run. She would push her way to the front. So she's great. Yeah, she lived a long, healthy life.
Okay.
Yeah, we did not eat Feedy.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I know.
Are you telling me the truth?
I am telling you the truth. We
Okay.
did not eat Feedy.
Okay.
We
My
did eat her mom though. And damn, that was also a good summer.
What I was going to say is that my husband likes to lull me into a false sense of security and then like punch me in the fucking solar plexus, you know? So I like, you thought you got me with the mom thing, but I knew something was coming. The reason we were talking about cows, in case you guys haven't figured it out already, is for more Tearzu! The title of this video is Are Cows OP?
And the answer is absolutely maybe. Cows are great.
Let's find out what Tearzu has to say about it.
Oh!
Jesus.
That was so cool.
Cows are one of the most popular builds in the game, and normally a high population is a good indicator that a build is pretty powerful in the current meta.
Right.
However, I think in the case of cattle, there are a lot of other factors that make the true power level a bit less obvious.
Okay,
Are
okay.
cattle low-tier builds that are simply propped up by human activity? Or are they a genuinely powerful high tier that would dominate with or without human help? Let's delve into
They are generally pretty harmless to children.
Right.
Yeah, they normally don't just like run people over.
Is that,
you know, like
is that anti-cow propaganda?
I think so. Now you might step in a cow pie, like presented here in that field.
That's disgusting.
That's about as worse as you're gonna get.
That's disgusting.
their stats and abilities to find out. Cattle are part of a powerful faction of builds called bovines, which also includes the bison, Cape buffalo, water buffalo, and historically the auroch. While
They just look chill.
Those are all just cows. Why are we pretending?
Big cow,
right.
little cow,
A big cow, Africa cow,
Mhm.
water cow. They're all just cows.
longhorn cow.
They're just cows.
there are a few differences between them, which we'll
How
discuss in the
cute.
tier list at the end of the video, they all
Okay.
share a few common traits. Bovines have an exceptionally high HP stat. It takes a lot of damage to bring them down,
Oh!
pretty much requiring team strats for multiple Predator players at once. And unlike some other high HP builds,
Oh, no.
bovines don't just sit there eating the damage. No,
Right.
they can strike back with incredible
Oh
force.
my
Their
lord!
sharp, sturdy horns can inflict massive damage on anything unlucky enough
What
to
do you
be caught
do?
in their
What do
path.
you do in
And
that
unlike
situation?
crows,
Cry.
which fall off and need to be regrown
Oof.
each year, the horns cattle have, they have year-round, always ready to wreck someone's plan of attack. Their mobility stat is kinda mid, definitely not high enough to reliably
Oh,
escape
no.
a predator. And their intelligence and stealth are both below average for a
What is
mammal.
going
However,
on?
neither of these stats are all that integral to the bovine build's main strategy.
Okay.
While lower intelligence does create a potentially exploitable vulnerability to
Huh.
things like traps
He
and
jumped
lower
into
their
the
resistance
pool.
to distractions and intimidation tactics, it's not so low that bovines aren't able to utilize team combos. Quite the
Wait.
tactics.
He put a
It's
little
not so
disclaimer
low
at the
that
bottom. You thought you could fool us. You thought we wasn't finna see.
Why are you so
But we can
stressed
see.
out about this cow video?
I'm not
Aren't
stressed. He says, technically, these musk ox aren't bovines. Musk ox are very similar to yaks, but are actually more closely related to goats and sheep.
Wait a
What?
minute.
Hold on.
Musk ox are not yaks? I understood that there was a difference, but I thought they were the same thing.
So you telling me musk ox is not cow?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He just dropped a bomb.
That's crazy. More closely related to goats and sheep. That's a lie.
I got
That's a cow. You look at, that's not no goat, no sheep. That's a cow.
utilize team combos. Quite the contrary, in fact. The herd defense tactics employed by a competent herd of cattle makes them borderline impossible to defeat in a group. And since they have such a high HP stat, this gives cows' teammates a lot of time to regroup and launch a counterattack if one of their herd members goes down and needs a save. Next, we should discuss their unique abilities and
Okay.
their signature combat moves.
I'm ready.
Bovines all have the ruminant ability, which enables them to gain XP and level up all just from eating grass. This might seem like a boring ability, but its usefulness is actually hard to overstate. Having this perk essentially means that one of the most abundant plants in the game becomes your main source of XP, completely removing the need to search and forage for food. This means a player doesn't need to invest evolution points into things like climbing, digging, keen eyesight, or intelligence to be able to find food.
All right, there's just always food.
Right, and they can also do everything they need to do to survive normally while eating. And then when they stop eating, they regurgitate to keep eating while doing other things. So they're just constantly eating.
And can reinvest those points into other stats, which is how
Jesus.
cattle
Oh my
support
God.
such a high base stat total.
Oh
Cattle
my
also
Lord.
push the mammal faction's signature move, lactation, to its limits. Cow milk is one of the most nutritious substances in the game, and allows new cattle players to level up extremely quickly. This helps keep their offspring safe, as it means they spend less time in the more vulnerable low weight class, and quickly reach a size where hardly anything could realistically take them down alone. The cattle's
Poor
signature
puppy.
move is Goring Rush, an extremely powerful head bash attack that deals
Ooh.
heavy damage and inflicts incredible knockback, forcing the target back a good distance and also likely knocking the target down, which allows for easy follow-up attacks. Their sharp hooves deal extra damage to prone enemies, so this straightforward combo can be devastating if it catches an opponent off guard. That is about it when it comes to the cow's main combat moves. Cows can kick as well, but it's more of a stomp than anything. They don't have the flexibility or power to headshot someone like a
Like
horse
a donkey or a
They also
zebra.
cannot
Yeah.
deal damage with their bite, since they don't have upper teeth.
No.
Not a super big deal, but biting is a powerful option to have in a pinch.
Oh
so
my
it's
Lord.
at least worth mentioning. Now let's get into the cattle's weaknesses and counterplay.
Okay.
So due to the cattle's low intelligence stat, its resistance to mental status conditions like intimidation, distraction, or trickery is reduced. Intimidation is a pretty common tactic employed by a variety of different builds, from predators to omnivores to herbivores. Intimidation is one of the most effective tactics against cattle, and can
Really?
often result in
Oh,
a cow
yeah.
losing a battle that it very easily could have won if it had not been scared away. And conversely,
was
if a
so
cow does
cute.
decide to take the offensive, distractions can easily divert the attack, causing it to completely miss. While this is, of course, extremely risky, overcommitting to an attack and whiffing can oftentimes mean the difference between decisive victory
Whoa!
and crushing defeat.
Wow.
Advanced players will even be able to utilize a combination of intimidation and distraction to kite cattle in specific directions, enabling them to
Interesting.
control entire herds, which is what has allowed human mains to capture huge numbers of cattle. Cattle are known for their Goring Rush attack,
Oh!
which, while powerful, is imperfect. Many builds put a ton of points into the ability Concussive Force Resistance.
Can we talk about how crazy of a concept it is to run with bulls? Can we talk about that for like a second?
It's really cool. Like, it's a really cool concept. Because, like, the bull's got it all. Like, the intimidation, the big body, the wind-up. Like, it's so believable, but it is extremely survivable.
How do you survive survive getting trampled by a dozen bulls. You don't. You just die. Scenario. You get your inside squished out like a toothpaste tube. I think you're just ignoring the obvious danger.
I might be a man ego about this. That could be it. I could be wrong.
Enabling them to throw out headbutt attacks without much risk. Cows have some blunt force resistance.
In case it was not clear, these are not cows.
Bovines.
They are also not bovines. I know the difference.
Yeah, thanks.
Enabling them to throw out headbutt attacks without much risk. Cows have some blunt force resistance, but not enough that headbutts and charging attacks are without risk. In fact, at high speed, cattle can easily take lethal damage in a single hit if they strike another player at full force with their charging attack. Builds like the goat or bighorn sheep can easily best a cow in 1v1, even though the cow's stats are much higher in a vacuum.
Oh my
Builds
god.
with forward-facing horns can also present quite a challenge to...
Who's that guy that Anderson Silva knocked out with that straight kick?
Oh, I don't remember.
That's exactly what he looked like after
much
he
higher
did
in
it.
a vacuum.
Him this
Builds with
ass up.
forward-facing horns can also present quite a challenge to bovine builds, as bovine horns tend to face to the side and are more used for swiping and slashing at opponents than for
Yeah. Good for like tossing.
This means that in a direct confrontation, sharp antlers can deal a lot of damage to a bovine player
Oh.
while keeping them out of reach of connecting with their own horn attacks.
Right.
There aren't enough different bovines for a proper full-length tier list video.
Understandable.
But I think we can do a quick rapid-fire ranking to close out this video.
Okay, let's do it.
Basic cattle comes in at a solid B tier.
Okay.
Definitely not a bad build, but one with a lot of weaknesses that high-tier builds can exploit. Their main advantage over the other, more wild cattle variants is that due to selective breeding by humans, the domestic cattle are actually the best in the game at milk production, and therefore their offspring level up and reach larger sizes much quicker. Definitely a much more beginner-friendly build. Although at the end of your playthrough, there's a good chance a human will eliminate you. Also in B tier, we have the yak, a mountainous variant of cattle that opted for slightly lower base stats in exchange for better resistance to the cold and better mobility on icy or rocky terrain.
Oh, okay.
Same basic weaknesses as the
I don't know where I thought yak lived. Yaks? Yak?
Yak
Is it plural of yak?
Yaxises. Yakside.
We don't know the plural of yak, but what I'm saying is I didn't know that they lived in the mountains.
Same basic weaknesses as the common cattle, but its ability to survive the cold Himalayan mountains means that it has less natural enemies to contend with
as lonely
than
at the
cattle
top.
in less hostile climates do.
Right.
At the bottom of A tier, we have the bison. The bison are the largest bovine builds and traded some of their power stats for extra health and defense. As a result, they have shorter horns and lots of padded fur on their head, meaning that they can tank a lot more damage, but also can't deal as much damage using Goring Rush. This can be a bit of a problem, as being able to one-hit a wolf would really help discourage aggressive teams of wolves from attacking them. Since they can't get a one-hit kill without a crit, some wolves get pretty brazen in their attacks on bison. Still, they're tied with the moose as the premier tank of the North America server, and have favorable matchups against the grizzly bear.
Oh my god!
So still definitely a solid high tier. Next in A tier, we have the water buffalo, a bovine build with roughly equivalent stats to the common cattle,
Water
but with
cow.
higher offensive stats and massive horns.
That's a big
they
ass
get a
horn.
mobility bonus in shallow water, which, while not that busted of an ability, is still pretty nice to have. Water buffalo have to be able to fight off one of the most powerful solitary predator builds in the game,
Crocodile.
the Bengal tiger.
Oh.
We were
Anything
both
you can take
wrong.
on this thing has to be at least A.
God,
The
oh.
human player base in the India server is also notably less aggressive towards bovine players, which makes them a lot more viable in that meta. But when it comes to hostile metagames, nothing compares to Africa. And despite the abundance of extremely powerful predators like the lion and hyena, and territorial giants like the rhino and elephant, the Cape Buffalo is still notorious for being one of the most dangerous builds in the game. It's one of Africa's Big Five, a status given to builds which are notoriously difficult for humans to defeat 1v1.
Him talking about the big five just reminded me of the debates that people have about the big three.
In the anime?
Yeah.
And it is what to you?
It's Naruto, Bleach, and I can't remember the third one. It's not Inuyasha.
The longest going...
One Piece.
One Piece.
Yeah, Naruto,
Yeah.
Bleach, and One Piece is the big three.
Right.
As it should be.
And the Africa Big Five, now that we're here.
Elephants, lions, Cape buffalo. Hyenas, rhinos.
Cheetahs, rhinos.
Why are cheetahs on the list?
Because, he said to beat 1v1.
Oh, I guess because cheetahs are so
Status given to
fast.
builds
Yeah.
which are notoriously difficult
Elephants,
for
that's
humans
the
to
one.
defeat.
Heffalumps.
1v1.
Yeah.
And so I think for this reason, the African Cape Buffalo ranks first among the bovine builds.
Okay.
But it still doesn't quite crack S tier. Mostly because it's overshadowed by the wildebeest in the African savanna meta.
Really?
Oh.
Which is not a type of cattle or buffalo,
Oh.
but rather is essentially an antelope with higher stats. May not be as bulky as
Oh.
the Cape Buffalo, but it does have a much higher base speed stat. And this speed is pretty crucial for being able to escape an ambush from Africa's predator builds, and for punishing opponents who don't respect the wildebeest's range, leading to
Oof.
the wildebeest being vastly more successful than the Cape Buffalo.
Okay.
This level of supreme optimization is what it takes to crack S tier in the African server.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't mean cattle will never be S tier. In fact, I think there's a pretty strong argument to be made that prior to humans unlocking the gunpowder technology on the tech tree, bison were the undisputed S tier of North America. And
Yeah, it's 'cause
although
of the
they were all but
size.
annihilated from the server, their numbers are slowly but surely returning to healthy levels. It's quite
Which
an
makes me
inspiring
very happy.
story, which you can check out right now on CuriosityStream.
Very nice. Now, even though I am slightly more confused about what cattle are, what cows might be, and what yaks are related to, I am definitely more confident in my ability to discuss why cows are still delicious with seasoned with only salt and love.
I saw this TikTok, and he said that we should, the food.
Why are you laughing already? Come
I saw
on.
this TikTok, and he said the
Yes.
Food Network should make a show, and in the show, it's like it's a competition about who can make the best steak, right? Who can make the best steak, but they have to raise the cow from a calf, raise it from a calf, name it, all that,
Right.
and then at the end, see if they're willing to kill the calf or the
Right.
cow now,
Yeah.
and make it into the most delicious steak, and the name of it would be Raising the Steaks.
That's such a good tweet because you're not gonna cook your pet cow.
Wait, didn't you eat your pet chicken?
Yeah, but that wasn't my decision. They didn't respect that it was my pet chicken till well after he was already delicious. But on the other side of that, raising cow is hard.
Yeah.
You know what's great at the end of a hard day? Big old steak. And I think eventually, it takes years to grow a cow to maturity to a point where you would be able to, butcher it.
Mm-hmm.
And after all those years, you'd be ready for some Outback Steakhouse. You'd be ready for some, hell, even Red Robin at that point. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Shouts out to Tier Zoo for the video. We've been hearing has been working with Blender, so he might get some, have his own animation soon in a video. My wife, you can see on a video that she titled 132 Unusual. I made a community post about it. Make sure you go check that out.
I
We'll see you
changed the
around.
name.
Peace.